So the opposition in Libya has always been fragmented, with a whole lot of different political and ethnic coalitions joined together to oust Gaddafi. So what we saw today, or yesterday, was one small faction, particularly militant faction, attacking the US Embassy. It could go either way, and that's the really confusing part at the moment. No one's really in control of Libya as a whole. A lot of it's down at the local level, and the local military and paramilitary forces who are in control of different areas are the ones calling the shots. We see something similar across in Egypt, however the government is in much firmer control. Both the governments in Libya and Egypt, they rely on the United States, both for training and for finance, for economic aid. They hope for more American investment in both countries so they can repair and rebuild after the trauma of the past couple of years. So we see that the governments themselves look towards the United States as crucial to their futures. The difference is that the Egyptian government is in much firmer control over the state and the security forces, which are able to keep a lid on the militant factions, whereas the state is very weak in Libya and as yesterday showed, were unable to keep a lid on the militant factions. That's the fear. The fear is that that the momentum is on the side of the more militant factions within the Libyan political spectrum. It's too early to say. It's really too early to say whether or not this was just an isolated incident or this is a sign of their growing strength. There's still a lot of miscommunication between the Arab world and the United States. When the initial response to the video and a large number of people gathering at the United States Embassy in protest of the video, a lot of that had to do with people thinking that this came from the US government. People don't realise across the world, not just in the Middle East, they find it difficult to understand that a video could be released of this nature without the approval of the US government. They come from a political culture where everything gets vetted by the government. A video like this just couldn't be released without the approval of the government. And that kind of misunderstanding is something that I think that American diplomats really need to consider moving forward. Well, if this was a standalone case, then you might just want to brush it off as a poor judgment. But this is no longer a standalone case. This is now a pattern of behaviour. So this comes straight on the back of his comments in Britain about the Olympics, in Israel, referring to Russia as America's greatest geopolitical foe. So there's been a number of different foreign policy stumbles up to this point, and this is just yet one more. So now it's not just a case, it's now a narrative. And this is going to potentially hurt Mitt Romney in the elections. This election is not going to be fought over foreign policy. Everyone said that from the start. It's going to be all about domestic politics and in particular the economy. However, saying that, he needs to look credible on foreign policy. It's as though he needs just to tick the box as a credible commander-in-chief, a credible statesman, and then we can move on to the economy. If he doesn't tick that box, then all of a sudden foreign policy comes back in play. It's important for the United States to remain engaged right across the region. This is not a time for the United States to withdraw from places like Libya. They've played a crucial role in guiding Libya up to this point. They're not taking the lead, they're allowing the Libyans to take the lead, but they're there for consultation, they're there for supplying resources that the Libyan government just don't have on hand. And that's crucial. Yep. Otherwise, you might see the state even fragment even more. You see the strength of the local warlords increase, and there'll be a growing probability of there being civil strife and potentially conflict, as what we're seeing in Syria of that level. Egypt is a different story, where the state has greater capacity, but they're still highly reliant on American support, and they're hopeful of growing American financial investment as well. So it's really important right at this stage that the United States remains engaged and offers their assistance.